So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
Hello.
Ta-da.
Welcome.
Hey. And to you and to y'all and to the doggies.
Okay, y'all. So I lived in Texas, and I remember the story that a coworker told me there of a substitute teacher who came in and said during their English class, "Who exactly is all y'all?" As opposed to just y'all.
Yeah. I've heard that too, and I've never asked Texans, but I've wondered what would necessitate switching from one to the other. Did anybody give you an answer to that?
It was just good for a laugh. Yeah, because I think the terms are absolutely interchangeable. It's just a point of emphasis, I suppose.
Maybe like completely
something
unique,
like that. Yes. Yeah.
Only
Maybe
in
so.
Texas.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome all.
Anyway, all y'all. So yes, we're not in Texas. We're celebrating Arizona.
We are.
To be
Yes.
clear.
The celebration doesn't
That
have
has
to
not
end
changed.
over the state border, but it certainly starts here. Yes.
That's true, because there could be Texans who are celebrating
And we
with
hope
us.
so.
And welcome,
Yes.
y'all. And we do. Yeah.
So, yes, where shall we celebrate first?
We will go to the 169 exit to Prescott, for those of us who are not already in Prescott, and go over through the lovely old downtown by the Courthouse Square, and then make a U-turn in order to park in front of the Sharlot Hall Museum.
Yes.
I thought sometimes I talk about things people can't go do. I want to talk about something people can go do by their own selves. So we're going to talk about the Sharlot Hall Museum, named for the first state historian, Sharlot Hall, who actually opened it on that spot, but she didn't name it after herself. They did that after she died, because that's where the Fremont House was built. And as you know, there are other buildings on that site now that were brought there from Prescott,
Yes.
primarily, and some built there even. One of the things to love about Sharlot Hall, besides the fact that she was first state historian, in a time where women were not often state anythings,
Yeah.
there were two legislators, but that's about it. Charlotte knew that history was not necessarily the past. And she actively and vigorously collected stories from miners, trappers, wives, school teachers, people in her time, because she knew that they too would be history. And
The
I love
original
that about
founder
her.
of StoryCorps from NPR.
Yes, yeah. She wasn't smart enough to what would you call
there
that?
may not have been a
Copyright it.
patent
Yeah,
office. Well, no, there probably was. But anyway, yes.
probably was. He was. Anyway, yeah. But I love that about her. I'm intrigued by her personal life because there's not a great deal known. She and her mother joined a movement called Free Thinkers, and the leader of said movement was a guy named Samuel Putnam, with whom she was close until he died. She never married. She never had kids. But she and the leader of this movement were close. And I will leave that to her and him, I guess. But I think, on the one hand, maybe you couldn't do everything she did and raise up a passel of kids. And on the other hand, I guess I simply find myself hoping that she knew great love.
Probably. We hope that for everybody.
As I would hope for everybody.
But that makes her even more unique, that she was female and unmarried, and probably somewhat more suspect as an unmarried female at the time.
I
but
bet that's
state
true.
historian she became nonetheless.
Yeah. And a very impressive person. One of the things I wrote about it, and I think it was the Centennial book, she gets some credit, possibly, for helping Arizona become a state. She wrote a poem called Arizona, and it was put out. I don't think she traveled to D.C. to do this, but somebody put a copy on every single person in Congress's, probably at that time man in Congress's desk. And it's about how Arizona, what could have happened is Arizona and New Mexico territories could have been admitted together.
Yes.
And neither Arizona nor New Mexico wanted to see that come to pass. So I will read you just one verse of a very, very long poem, for which you all can thank me if you ever look at the poem and realize how much I didn't read you. But I kind of like her idea, and the verse I pulled out was, "But the while ye follow your smooth-made roads to a fireside safe of fears, shall come a voice from a land still young, to sing in your age-dulled years."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she wasn't pulling punches.
No.
She was upbraiding a whole bunch of probably old white men. And they did obviously make us a state. And the Fremont House at that site was joined by Fort Misery. Okay, I learned something that I didn't know before this. Fort Misery was called that because, and it was where the first Arizona legislators, politician met. But I've read accounts of wind just whistling through these gaping holes in the boards and huge discomfort. It was built in 1863, so that's what, first early Civil War.
Oh, my.
Well,
yes.
only 12 years later was the Fremont House built, which is like a Model A and a Rolls. I mean, the Fremont House is chair rails and baseboards and the thing over the window, not dormer, over a door. The little window that opens over the doors. The name will come to me later. Anyway, it's very upscale. When you go, it's such a fun little place. And you don't have to stay all that long. You can see the museum. There's a picture of her with her hair down. And it's hip, like beautiful hair. And then the copper tunic that she wore. So Arizona becomes a state. She gets invited to the next inauguration. She wears a copper tunic mesh over her dress in honor of our copper, which I've never gotten to lift it or even touch it. But don't you think
it would be like wearing chain mail.
Yeah. Now she looked stalwart, so I guess she pulled it off.
And so at the Sharlot Hall Museum, so there's Fremont House, and then there was...
Ashford House was a house built in town and moved over there. Fort Misery was moved over there. A schoolhouse was recreated there. So it's a copy of an early schoolhouse.
And I remember when you and I visited, a docent was there and said, "Do you know what this is?" And she's pointing toward a wreath. And I said, "A wreath?" And she's and you corrected, "It's a hair wreath." And she was very impressed, and I was I think frightened.
Horrified?
Yeah, so one
Disgusted?
of these, like, it was a
skeeved out, as I would say.
Yeah. I love wreaths. I really do. I have a soft spot for the eucalyptus wreath, for evergreen wreath at Christmas time. I have one that was made in southern Arizona that has these hooks from a particular plant that once it drops its blossoms, it's sort of left with these hooks. And they look frightening when you look at them, but devil's claw.
The devil's claw?
Exactly right. Yes.
Okay. I don't remember the wreath, but that's a cute idea.
I love wreaths, but that particular kind, no, I can do without. Yes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So yes, we should all go to the Sharlot Hall Museum. We should look at the rose bushes. There's an Arizona women's rose bush garden, to which pioneers get their own rose bush added there. And look at the wreath and then think, thank God I don't have to see one of those again.
But the roses, that's lovely. Yeah.
The roses are lovely. And the setting is lovely. And no matter where you eat afterwards in Prescott,
this is
going to be
also
lovely.
true. You really can't go wrong anywhere near there. No,
or at
that's
least we haven't
point.
yet. Maybe somebody is going, oh, I never want to go back to fill in the blank. One more thing on the Fremont House, because I'm amused by, I don't want to say the soft underbelly of history, but by the side of history that not everybody always told. So one of our governors was Fremont, John C. Fremont, and that's the John C. Fremont House. And I was amused to find out he was known as the Pathfinder. He did a lot of exploring out west. And I think his greatest asset was his wife, Jessie, because she was the daughter of Senator Hart Benton, Jessie Benton Fremont. There are a lot of people, even in my limited reading of history after the Civil War, that are named for Thomas Hart Benton. They're either Thomas Hart Sinclair or Benton Fremont McGillicuddy, or a lot of people admired that guy. And his daughter was sharp as a tack, and when her husband's fortunes went in and out, she would write about him so convincingly that it made him a public darling. And she, I'm sure, is the one who coined the Pathfinder. And when he got to the top of what he thought was the top of the Continental Divide, he said memorably but surely incorrectly, "I am the first man to stand in this spot," which made you kind of roll your eyes. But again, it made headlines. So he was good at, or she was good at what they did long before most people were thinking about branding. Yeah. And on the other side of that, when he was appointed our territorial government, which I think was 77 to 81, he was never here. And finally, somebody said, "Okay, Fremont, either show up and govern that territory or step down." And he resigned. Wow. He didn't care.
That is interesting. That wait, in the whole of his governorship, he wasn't in the state?
He was here once or twice. But that was it. And somebody finally took attendance and thought, this cannot stand.
We never suggested have, that workers. Some things don't change. We have some
colorful governors too. Someday we'll talk about colorful governors. But in the meantime, suffice to say that Fremont was not interested enough to show up, and so he just gave the job. I don't remember who replaced him, but somebody who was here. We know that.
Excellent qualification. Are you present? Yes. Okay, we're off to a good start.
Govern, sir. Govern like you've never governed before.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's probably true too. Yeah, that'll be a show someday. That'll be fun. Meantime, if we've enjoyed Sharlot Hall, let's take a break and come back and hear where we're going next.
Sounds good.
So I've learned a new word I'm sharing with you, semi-quincentennial, half of 500 or 250. From now on, we can say AZ 250. That's the commission leading our celebration of the United States' big birthday next year. We are excited to be the podcast partner, and we'll be sharing aspects of the AZ 250 plans. One, the special passport highlighting treasures to visit around Arizona, in addition to hikes and breweries and parks, oh my. You can look it up online with the https://azsos.gov/passport 250. Swinging back and onward to
a tee box on the Arizona Biltmore's golf course. And I am not a golfer, and I have never lived there, so I don't know the number. But I do know that it was a great place to watch sunsets. And I learned this from the young man who became my prom date, because he and his family were from Wisconsin and very enamored of Arizona sunsets. And this was a favorite place of theirs that at one point he wanted to share with me. But the lead-in to this place and this story is that I've had a week where I feel like I've just been running around. My grandmother would say I've met myself coming and going.
That's cute.
It's just been this, wild and whirlwindy week. And so I thought of this story. I was a freshman in high school, and he was a junior, and he asked me to go to prom. After prom, he suggested that we go see the skyline lights from this spot.
Okay, now this is fun because as soon as you said, first of all, when you said tea box, I pictured Twinings or Good Earth.
Oh, that's funny.
Of tea. But once I got out of there, I thought, makeout spot. And then it wasn't. So I'm agog.
Okay,
Go ahead.
So I have always been excited first and practical later. And so thinking, because he was driving and it sounded pretty, I said, okay. And then I realized I was pulling off into a dark place with a guy I didn't know so well and probably no one around. And a story came back to me that a woman managed to keep herself from getting raped by dropping onto all fours and mooing like a cow. And her attacker was so put off that he left her alone. So, well, I couldn't do this because Mom had made my prom dress and we were both very proud of it and I didn't want to ruin it. So to both work off all my nervous energy and to dissuade him from any possible romantic thought, I called out, "Sand traps, fun!" and went running through every one of them I could find. On the way to this tea box, I was running sand trap donuts. And so he kind of shoves his hands in his pockets and is watching me do this. And when I'd run myself out, he said, "You know, you have to go back and rake all those." And I didn't know this at all, not being a golfer and also being somewhat out of my mind, but it was the perfect next activity because it too was unromantic. And so I was very happy to set myself to, raking all of these back into order. So yes, this is a tee box that is off of Glendale or Lincoln, between 24th and 32nd. And at one point there was a little place to be able to pull off and sort of walk the cart path up to it. And I don't know if it's still there because I haven't. Well, this is the thing, is that it turns out that this was actually a very nice guy. I was never in any danger. We ended up dating on and off for a few years in high school and college. And we saw several sunsets from that point. And it was special enough that I haven't ever tried to go back because if I couldn't get there, I didn't want to know. So no, that will be one road trip we will not take because I just can't stand it if I can't get there again. And it just has to live that way in memory.
Some things are better preserved in the amber of memory. Absolutely.
That's lovely. Yeah.
We are very opposite in a couple of ways. First of all, when I was a junior, a freshman, and was my prom date.
Okay.
So you did the other thing. You were only a freshman.
I
and got
did.
To be a junior, which is very cool. And yeah, the idea that I was dying to be made out with at that age, and it didn't happen. So you were afraid of it, and I was yearning for it.
It was way too much.
I won't make you describe it at great length, but what color was the dress?
It was turquoise. It was a teal or a turquoise, yep. And it was a V back that was done with a scallop shape. And it was long beautiful. And sleeveless. Had this special, neck on the back of the dress. It was so beautiful. So this was Sand Trap Donut Week. And this is why we learn about the tea box with the sand traps.
And now I've got donuts that went with the other tea box, but no, we're talking about running, not about eating. So I must be hungry or something. Well, that's fun. I'm glad I got to go, even if it was a little later. And you are doing our question.
So the question I have for this week is, it would be fun to compare notes. What is the favorite thing that residents and visitors say is theirs about Arizona? So what is the favorite thing for residents and what is the favorite thing for visitors?
Okay, well then lead us off because I'm
having to think about
way
that.
Behind.
Okay.
So
yeah,
a little bit, yeah. So give us the fun version, and then we'll see if I have it.
So with residents, what I hear is, well, this is such a huge state, and it's so diverse. You can do almost anything you want. There is everything to do here. From visitors, perhaps not surprisingly, what I hear is, we just love the sun. And I find that to be sort of a funny comment because, you can see the sun from anywhere. But I do get it. Having lived in rainier or snowier places where you kind of get locked in the gray for a while, this is what I've heard most.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Does that spark
All
anything
right.
for you?
Too often, and twice would be too often, I take umbrage from visitors. It's so brown.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, well, parts of it. Yeah, okay. And certainly from the air, it is so brown. I get it. And I've never heard, there's so much to do here. I think I hear more from residents the appreciation of how much we have. And you and I know this from our cradles practically, but every life zone except ocean marine. And so the tremendous variety of place that Arizona offers, I agree, is fondly held by residents.
I
Yeah.
met
Okay, yeah, I
a
get it.
visitor
I get
from Norway who came over as an exchange student in high school. And she said, getting off the plane, she looked around and she said, the colors were different. The air was different. And I kind of love that. I mean, she had never seen, okay, browns, but blues and greens like cactus. I mean, these two is different. She said, the colors, the earth, the animals, the birds, the air was different. I remember. And I thought that was so fun.
I hope she's come back.
I don't think she said that she hasn't. I actually met her when my mother and I were in Norway. And as we were buying better raincoats, we just happened to speak to the woman selling them, and it turned out she had been to Arizona. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. You
I
didn't
met her
meet
there.
Here. You met her later talking about having
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Oh. Well, I've always heard about the Light of Venice. I've not been to Venice, so I can't
Or the
speak
light
to
of
it
Camp
myself,
Verde.
But it's nice to,
As we...
That's right.
Yes. Something,
Episode
one of these.
13
Yeah.
maybe 13. Yeah.
Well,
that's
do you
funny.
want to do the mug now or when we come back?
Let's mug now and read
Let's
after
do
the
mug
break.
now.
So we have here the Hacienda Inn from probably 90s, maybe, with the nice deco navy and white, and then Prescott,
Nice.
Arizona under it. And very quickly, speaking of visitors and residents, you can frequently tell a visitor because they say
Oh,
Prescott,
yes.
having no reason to know that we
Yes.
say Prescott. It's not, how can you tell looking at that? Scottsdale, Prescott. But yes, that is a difference. Somebody, maybe Marshall Trimble, wrote a book they call it Prescott, spelled like
Yeah,
a Prescott,
interesting.
P-R-E-S.
Although my
Yeah,
dad
yeah.
grew up saying Prescott. And he's absolutely an Arizona native. Yeah.
As an Arizonan,
He said
I wonder why.
he said Prescott, he said cement instead of cement. There was, I don't know. But it was just part of
Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting? Well, I love your dad, so I'll let him say
Yes,
Prescott
yes,
anytime he
yes.
wants.
But
That's
and probably
fascinating.
Prescott won't mind. They'll take him
No,
anyway.
not since it's
Yeah.
your dad. Well, let's break and come back to hear you read us something.
Okay, great.
It's never too early to start a celebration. Visit Flagstaff is gearing up for the centennial of Route 66. The Flagstaff Visitor Center and the historic train depot is your first stop for Route 66 adventures. You can get 66 Things to Do on Flagstaff's Route 66, the historic Route 66 of Arizona Passport, and the Rock the Route 66 Check-In Challenge for starters. Visit Flagstaff on Route 66. And now we get to
Well,
read.
thank you for putting it that way. Yes. And so,
Of course I
and
put it
so
that way.
thinking of the sunsets, I wrote the Firebirds. This was when I did the Dragons of South Mountain. This was part of sort of a stories, tall tales that I wrote in a collection, and the Firebirds was one of them. And this has to do with Arizona sunsets. So The title is The Firebirds.
Okay.
Arizona skies are known across the world for pinks and golds and oranges its sunsets unfurl. And locals know, but seldom say, the colors from the dust. No one wants tourists to be asthmatic in disgust. And sure, the desert's dusty, but its skies just help conceal the firebirds that live there. Only sunset will reveal. Because the phoenix bursts to flame, then burns to dust and ash, after it's flown a soul to a new life from one past. Each and every firebird, born to be unique, to each soul on journeys to the new life that they seek. And after completed passage, each phoenix flames and burns just like the former life to which the soul will not return. And it settles into ashes just as a soul might go to seed, then pops up anew when called to go and serve in need, as fresh and strong and capable as that new soul that's beckoned, growing more wise and colorful with each passing second. Other souls, content with one life lived, are met by other birds, hawks and doves, sometimes vultures, from what I've heard. But the firebirds hatch and grow and fly for those saintly few who feel they must return for what they know they can still do. I hope someday you meet someone who fits that description. I'd like to think that kindness will never be a superstition.
Charming and lovely.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah,
and very
I had fun with
Southwestern.
that. Thank you.
Do you picture the thunderbird shape, the traditional, like shoulders with wings coming down that you frequently see a thunderbird portrayed as?
I think I picture the full wingspan, like the two wings arcing up, so that you have, yes, the
So more
phoenix,
like the phoenix
yes, the
than-
phoenix
okay.
is the
All
firebirds.
right.
Yeah,
Just
no, the
curious,
thunderbirds are different.
Okay. Are they in another
Not
poem
yet,
at some point?
but we can,
Okay.
clearly we have more birds to write about. Yes,
Something
we can
could be
do
worked
this.
out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Fun. And that appears on the website with all the
Yes,
other lovely
and
poems.
readings such as the one you are about
And
to do
readings,
from.
yes. Arizona 100 Years Grand, the Centennial Book.
Nice.
And actually, ironically, I could read it. It's not a problem. This is one of the pieces of prose that I have memorized
Oh.
because I never want to be without it. And it is from a letter that Sharlot Hall wrote to Timothy Reardon, as in Reardon House.
Yes.
They were correspondents.
Wow.
And it just, to me, says everything about all the best in her and as an Arizona woman. And so this is Sharlot Hall writing to Timothy Reardon. I am so glad, so glad, so glad that God made me to be an outdoor woman and love the big things. I couldn't be a tame house cat woman and spend big, sunny, glorious days giving card parties and planning dresses. I'm not unwomanly. Don't you dare to think so. But God meant woman to joy in his great, clean, beautiful world, and I thank him that he lets me see some of it, not through a window pane.
Amen. Amen. Yes.
Yeah, what's not to like,
Fantastic.
huh?
Yes. Okay, and there's my
I
dog.
think those were her.
Shaking it off. Yes.
Luna
Yes, she
applauded.
did. Yes. Ears
Aw,
flapping. Yes.
Thanks, Luna. Thanks, dear girl.
Thank you. That is wonderful.
I love that piece of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Sharlot Hall.
No, I don't want to be
So-
without it either.
Yeah.
So, yes. So
big, sunny, glorious days.
yes.
I've never planned a card party, by the way. Have
No.
you given
No.
a card party or planned a dress?
Although
Your mother planned
my
dresses.
my
She said
mother
that.
absolutely did, and my grandmother played bridge, and I've had card parties, I suppose, with my mother and my grandmother, because we would sit down and play cards, whether it was eights or kings in the corner or 39 or whatever it was. But
Oh,
a lot of times we would do it on a deck outside, so we sort of got the best of both.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Sharlot Hall is applauding.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for all of that. And thank you, everybody else who decided to come and hang out with us.
Right along.
And and may we have another.
Yes, we'll see you down the road. Thanks, and bye for now.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blatney. And I'm Dana Cooper.